Hi guys, Maikeru here. This is my Abyss guide. This is a complete guide with all three styles covered. I'll cover some useful items, some important information, and talk about including Invention in your setups. The only one where Invention isn't too good is range, but it can still be used there. You can get 600k plus XP an hour using the Abyss. To access the Abyss, you need to go into the wilderness above Edgeville. So just north of Edgeville, as you can see in the picture to the right, there is a yellow line and a red line showing on how you can get to the spot you need. It's level 4 to 6 wilderness at the Mage of Zamorak. This Mage of Zamorak wanders around the river's end above Edgeville. So you just right click and teleport on the Mage of Zamorak to get into the Abyss. The typical way people get into the Abyss is following the yellow line, but if you think there's going to be a PKer or you want to watch out for PKers, sometimes people go through the red line and you can get there from the GE rather than Edgeville. The only requirement is that you need to complete the Abyss mini quest to get teleported inside. You start this at the Mage of Zamorak if you haven't done the mini quest before. There'll be a link in the description for the mini quest. You need to have completed the Rune Mysteries quest to be able to start this mini quest, and that's the only requirement for the mini quest. The mini quest typically takes about 5 to 10 minutes. Once you've done it once, you won't ever have to do it again, and you have access to the Abyss forever. Next up, I want to talk about the recommendations. I would recommend to do the Abyss effectively. I would say 70 plus combat stats all round are recommended, depending in the style you want. So 70 defense definitely, no matter what style you're using. For God Wars Dungeon power armor. So Armadillo for range, Bandos for melee, or Subjugation for mage. Then 70 plus in your offensive stats, so either attack, range or mage. This gives tier 70 plus weapons to help speed up your kills and XP per hour. So for melee it'll be the Crystal Halberd, for range it'll be an offhand Armadillo crossbow, and for mage it can be an Arim's staff, or if you're 75 mage you can have a Staff of Light, etc. As for auras, Vampirism aura works perfectly here, as it will keep you alive enough against these because they don't hit too hard and you'll be hitting them hard, so you'll gain quite a lot of life. If you don't have a Vampirism aura, or if it's on cooldown, Penance aura is also really good for infinite prayer, especially if you have 92 prayer, so you can soul split all the time. Magic note paper will note the water talisman drops, so magic note paper is really useful to take, as they do drop quite a lot of water talismans. It's just some extra GP for not much effort. Having Invention unlocked will also help give even more gains, so the extra gains with Invention add to your XP per hour, which will make it over 1 mil XP per hour, which is awesome. Blood Amulet of Fury also helps amazingly with life sustain, because it will leech life off of everything around you and you'll always have a lot of mobs around you. A few more useful items and unlocks I just want to quickly talk about. The first one is the Charming Imp. He can be absolutely amazing and only costs 100k Dungeoneering tokens, which means you can get him by around level 73 Dungeoneering if you save up your tokens. You can literally get him in a day of solid grinding Dungeoneering, even if you're only level 1. It will automatically collect your charms for you, and it saves you having to pick them up because they can really add up. Even the golds and the greens, especially when you're lower level in summoning, you can get some really good summoning gains just from using this here at the Abyss. With 92 prayer, toggling on and off soul split every minute or two while AFKing and using one of those big threshold abilities to gain as much HP as possible, while using a prayer renewal just to keep your prayer ticking over, can be really effective when you don't have your Vampirism aura on cooldown. And the last thing I want to talk about is the Sacrifice ability. This ability here helps for extra heals if you have low defense levels, and it's unlocked by killing Armadillo or Bandos minions in God Wars Dungeon 1. You need to have loot share enabled and be on a loot share world in order to do this. All you need to do is join a friend's chat, can be your own, turn on loot share and kill the minions until it says in your chat that you got it as a drop. I'll put a link in the description about this ability, just if you want to read up in more details. But all of these items and unlocks really do help. Now let's get into one last thing before we start. I just want to quickly speak about the scavenging perk if you're using Invention. If you have Invention unlocked, definitely use this perk while doing the Abyss. 5 precious components can easily make a level 2 version of this perk. Level 3 is possible but super rare, so I'd advise sticking to the level 2. You can get precious components easily from Slayer rings or diamond or ruby jewelry. So this is rings, necklaces or bracelets, typically giving the best chance of these. This perk is amazing for extra parts. It can save so much money in the long run, allowing you to use the good parts you obtain for augmenters or perks in the future. So while leveling to 120 Invention, I obtained 6 noxious components, 8 armadillo, 4 undead, 8 sewer, and hundreds of uncommon components from this perk alone. While killing mass amounts of monsters, it helped me get some free augmenters on the way, and so many awesome things like perks. Definitely use this if you can. Put it on your legs, as typically that will be the best slot to put it in, as you want to do something like charge drain reduction and item XP boost on your weapon, just to help with cost efficiency. So scavenging on your legs will be perfect. While hopping worlds, if you stand here you won't get attacked, so it's nice and easy to hop. As you can see, I can have a look, see if anyone's here. I can see that people are here, and I can quickly hop again before worrying about anything else. I'm going to talk about melee first. So for your melee setup without Invention, this is what it wants to look like. Typically you can use a Super War Master potion, so it boosts your stats. If you don't have one of these, you can use a Holy Overload or an Overload or whatever you like the best. Take sharks for food, as they're typically the best food for cheap. Take magic notepaper for the water talismans and a couple of free inventory slots to pick up the water talismans. As for gear, you want your full bandos. I chose a warrior's ring as it's probably the cheapest, easiest to obtain. If you have anything better, just take the best you can. Take the best cape you can. Take your blood necklace, because the blood amulet of fury is absolutely awesome here. Crystal halberd or higher, so also a dragon rider lance or scythe. They both work really well too. Sign of life is quite good to keep you from dying, so if you do AFK too hard, that will save you. And vampirism aura obviously is going to be the best aura. As for the setup with Invention, your inventory will look the same and your gear will look the same, except for your crystal halberd will be augmented, or your dragon rider lance or scythe will be augmented to be siphoned, so you would add a couple of siphons in your inventory. Typically you can take backup items, so when you dismantle one you have another one in your inventory, but the bank's pretty close, so you can just go to Edgefield and refresh on your sharks and things, especially if you're fairly low level. For armor, do not use augmented bandos armor, as it's super expensive, and with the crystal halberd in the abyss you'll still hit really well on the mobs, even with Ganodermic chest and legs. The chest is 1.5 mil, so that's an optional one. Definitely use the legs, as they're only 500k, so they're really cheap to level up and dismantle, and they give really good XP per GP. So the legs are the best part, so even if you just have the weapon and the legs, you're going to get some good gains in the abyss. Melee is pretty AFK. All you need to do is press your thresholds here and there, because if you're using Revolution in your bars like mine, with Cleaver's number 1, Cleave will be doing a lot of damage without you even pressing any buttons. You're only going to want to use your threshold abilities, so you want to use your Hurricane, your Quake and your Meteor Strike. The rest will be cast for you. As long as you're using an action bar like mine and you have your Cleave first, you should be getting around 450k XP an hour in your combat style, and around 150 to 200k XP an hour in HP. As you can see, that Meteor Strike was stupid. I crit 4 times and instantly went up to 100% adrenaline again. So now I can use my thresholds near enough as soon as I just used the Meteor Strike. That's why Meteor Strike is so good. Even though it's an ultimate ability, you get your adrenaline back so quickly, it's unreal. This is because the Meteor Strike gives you a buff after you activate it, that it gives you energy back whenever you crit. So even when you crit with the Meteor Strike, you get energy back from that. So you can literally go back up to 50% adrenaline if you crit enough with just Meteor Strike. If not, just do a cleave or 2 and then you should be able to get back to using your thresholds really nice and quickly. Definitely would use Meteor Strike, Hurricane and Quake as your main abilities, and then AFK the rest. For the mage setup, you're going to want to use full subjugation, blood amulet, best cape you can use. For staff, you want to use the best staff you can do. So start off with the Arim staff at 70, 75 you can have staff of light, 80 you can have something like a chaotic staff. Also other things like the camel staff are really good because they give you unlimited fires. So that's also a really good thing to include if you have the money for it. As for ring, Sears ring is probably the cheapest and easiest to use. If you have anything better, just use that. You don't need an aura for this, so you can keep that slot blank. And take a sign of life just in case. In your inventory you need your death runes and your fire runes. It's 4 fires and 2 deaths per cast. Take your boosting potion, so your super raw priest or overload. Take some sharks and some magic notepaper with a couple of inventory slots blank, so you can pick up your water talismans and note them for some GP back that you're spending on runes. The mage setup with Invention is very similar. Your inventory will be the same. The only thing that changes is your top and legs will turn into Gainodermic, as it's cheap, easy to level. And your Staff of Light can be augmented and dismantled. It's quite expensive to do this, and some people opt to use a staff and then siphon it at 12. So it's up to you on that one, depending on how much money you want to spend and how you want to do it. Typically I would probably just siphon, because it's quite expensive compared to something like a crystal halberd for melee. It's around 4 times the price, so that's quite hefty. So mage is slightly different. You want to make sure you're auto casting your blood burst, and you want to go to a legacy world or put it on legacy mode. So to do this, you want to go to your game settings, you want to go to combat settings, and you want to put it to legacy. This way we are now doing legacy, which means it will just constantly cast our blood burst, which will be nice and easy for us to gain our HP back while doing combat. So everyone over to the Major Zamorak, teleport with him. Nope, there's a person here, so we need to hop. See, now I'm in a free world. We can run over to the spot. Stand here. AFK blood barrage. If you're low level, what you can do is you can do it here. But if you're a bit higher and a bit more confident, if you walk out, you'll have more around you, so it'll be easier to AoE. Because they'll be all around you now, so you'll take a bit more damage, but AoE will be much easier. So as you can see, for me, I didn't take any sharks because I don't lose any HP. But it's good to take sharks just in case. When killing the mobs, you see the loot value, so you'll see when your water talisman drops. And that's it. You literally just make sure you have auto retaliate enabled and then AFK. For your range setup, I would not advise doing Invention at all, so I'm only going to show you without Invention. If you were to do Invention, if you had the Gainodermic chest and legs, you would not hit enough with your chins, so just the Gainodermic legs would be okay. And then augmenting your offhand is not worth it either, because it levels so slowly. I would literally advise to just stick into the other methods if you want to train Invention. So without Invention, you want to have the same inventory as always. Use your stat boosting potions, so War Masters or Overload, etc. Have sharks and have magic notepaper. Then you can have your armadillo, your offhand armadillo crossbow or higher. The glaives work really well as well. The tier 80 glaive from God Wars 2. Take your chins in your main hand and use the best cape you can and your blood amulet of fury again. Archer's rings work well because they're cheap, but if you have anything better, take that. Vampirism aura's good here, and a sign of life. For range, it's not so bad on your wallet anymore, because when you're using Revolution, if you're AFK and you'll use one chin in around every 7 or so casts of abilities, because you do an auto attack then. You only use a chin if you use an auto attack. So if you're queuing your abilities constantly, you don't actually use any auto attacks. Typically I found I was getting about 100k XP per 100 chins, and I was able to get 600k XP in an hour, which took up 600 chins. So it was about 2 GP and XP, which is absolutely insane. Either way, your ability bar wants to look similar to mine. Whenever you use a chin on a monster with an ability, it spreads that ability to all of the ones around you. Like chins used to hit everything around you, now your abilities do. For your thresholds, you want to use rapid fire and bombardment. They're both really good. You can use death swiftness as your big ultimate ability, because then it increases the damage while you're standing in that ring by 50% for 30 seconds. So then you'll do even more damage and get even more XP an hour. The last thing I just want to quickly talk about is lurers. There's a lot of lurers in the Abyss. You'll notice that a lot of people will try and buy your spot, or try and start crashing you for a bit and then be like, oh, I just hopped to this world, or say something stupid like they're trying to get their last little bit of XP and they'll buy your spot. So they'll offer you something like 5 mil for like 10 minutes of this spot because they can't be bothered to hop themselves or whatever. This is all a scam. Do not fall for it. See, in the video right now, this guy's just crashing me and he's telling me that he just needs his last 50k mage XP and that he'll go over there to the safe spot and trade me. So what we do is we go over to the safe spot after talking for a little while. I just played along with it because I just wanted to show you guys this. It's funny that I found one when just making a video. But yeah, so he takes me over to this safe spot. He tries to trade with me. Obviously, the mobs are still hitting him. So he's still trying to trade me. Spam trading me, you can see. He's wearing a completion escape and he's still luring. How bad's that? That's just silly. Someone who's got a completion escape can make money much easier. So he trades me when we go into the center, declines it and teleports away. So this is where they scam you. This is where they lure you. Now you have to teleport out. And if you teleport out into Edgefield and run back up, he's waiting there to PK you. Do not fall for this trick. Do not fall for this trick. Just say no, keep saying no, and they'll eventually get bored and hop worlds. Try and find someone else. Thanks for watching, guys. I tried to include every little detail I could think of. I included most of the things that I've used in the Abyss personally and that I know others have used. Hopefully you've learnt something or something was helpful for you guys. Feel free to join my friends chat Maikeru, and Goblin Slayers clan is open. We now have a Citadel level 2 and more members by the day. We've got around 70 members nearly now, which is absolutely insane. Feel free to join my friends chat or give me a message in game if you want to join Goblin Slayers, because we have an awesome name. Also, the Discord is now open. The link is in the description. So if you want to join Discord, chat to me or some other people in there, feel free to join and have a chat. Always awesome speaking to you all. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new. Until next time, see ya.